Keith here from North 40 Fly Shop in Omak, Washington. I know you all hear people who tie flies. Well, I came up with this pattern a couple of years ago, or this or that. I almost know exactly when I did this, and the one style of how you tie this actually came out. First time I saw it was about October 2014, and that's how the hackle and the polar chenille are wrapped together, twisted. It was in a bug called the complex twisted bugger. In January, February of 2015, I started tying some Sculpin patterns, and talking with McKee, who works in the shop here, he said, hey, do one up in kind of a chartreuse color. So this is the one I came up with, and what happened is by March of that year, we used it in the Okanogan River, and the smallmouth loved it. And ever since then, it's been one of our better smallmouth flies. So this is kind of what it is. It's the skull helmet, Sculpin helmet. And anyways, this has been a really good bug. It's been around for a while. Since there's been another fly called the twisted bugger, this one I'm going to call the Okanogan bug, because or the Okanogan Sculpin, excuse me. We use it in the Okanogan River a lot. It's done real good there, and it's done good in some of the other lakes. One of my biggest crappie that I've caught was on this fly. So let's get started with it. So we're going to use a Umpqua U-Series hook, streamer hook, in a 4X long, and this is a size, I believe it's size 4, yeah. And we're going to use, well, before we go too far, because we're going to be using the helmets, these things, now's the time, before you get too far into it, is where you take and glue your eyes on your helmet, your head, so you get that all ready and out of the way. So we're going to use 140 denier UTC in chartreuse. So to give you an idea where you want to kind of start this is, for reference, if you just kind of put the helmet on, the head, and get it in place there, and you can see kind of where it sits. So you want to start your thread back in this area here. So we're going to take that back off, and we'll start it about there. So just going to lay your thread base down. My scissors. And we're going to take this all the way back to about right above the point of the hook. The next thing we're going to use is which will account for about 50% of this fly, is Spirit River's UV2, and this is the Dose Jail Rabbit White and Chartreuse, and it's a barred rabbit strip. So we got a piece here. I've already kind of cut the tip into a point, and so we're going to want just about a hook length roughly of tail there. So we're going to split that a little bit like so. Separate some of the fur there. And then we're going to cut that to length. And I always cut a little point in it for a tie-in spot. So because we've got the hook this way, we're actually going to be tying it upside down, because the hook's going to be up when we are done. So we're going to get that tied in right there. You want to get that good and tight. And just to add a little bit more to it, I turn that over and add just a little bit of zap a gap there. Just get a little strength. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to form a dubbing loop. And about 4 inches roughly. And then move our thread back forward out of the way. The next thing is we're going to be putting basically a section of rabbit strip into the dubbing loop because we're going to spin it up. So I've already got it all prepped right there. Little handy clip there. You can use the stonefold clips. This one I just want because it's a little longer. So we're going to cut that off. And twist that a little bit. There we go. If it all goes right, I'll be able to slip that in there like so. Pull it tight. And part of it comes out, but that's okay. We got plenty. Hopefully. Spread it out a little bit. And give that thing a spin up. There we go. Give that a little brush. There we go. Alright. So we're just going to wrap that forward, and as we wrap it forward we pull some of the fibers back out of the way and just keep wrapping it, touching wraps. And a couple of wraps over the top, a couple in front, lock that in place, clip off our excess thread, pull everything in the back, make a few wraps in front, kind of lock everything in. There we go. And then our next step will be using our we're going to use a grizzly variant Sculpin hackle and chartreuse and UV polar chenille in olive copper. Alrighty, I should say that what this combination is of this twist was, to the best of my knowledge, created by Clark Pierce for his complex twisted bugger, and he's used it in a couple other patterns, and it's been very effective way of combining two materials like this. So, alright, so we're going to put our Sculpin hackle, and we've already prepped it, cut a little notch there, and a piece of the polar chenille, and we're going to tie those in together right in front of our rabbit. Get those locked in. There we go. Okay, now you wonder how this, I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen this already. That's okay. But two ways you could do this. I got this little tool, alligator jaw, or you can get Loon's gator grip dubbing spinner, and it'll do the same job. But since I'm used to using this, this is what I'm going to use. Line those both up, and we're going to grip them together. And then I'm going to take my dubbing spinner and hook it in there, and we're going to spin these two together just like that. Real simple. Go through and pick out some of the material. There we go. And then we're going to we'll just go ahead and get those wrapped in. Same as we did with the rabbit. Every wrap we do, just pull everything to the back. Put the next wrap right in front of it. And sometimes through this, you might want to, before anything gets too locked down too much, kind of pick out some of the stuff. Let's see, I think we can go about there. Make a wrap over. 2 or 3 over. A couple in front. Clip off the excess. Pull everything to the back a little bit. A couple good locking over that. Depending on the material you have, you can tie these down to a 6, an 8, or all the way up into 2/0 and so forth, depending on what you feel good about. Okay, next step. We're going to use some of the hairline dubbing grizzly flutter legs in chartreuse and black barred. And what we're going to do is we're probably going to need about 6 strands each. Usually what I do is I separate those. And then what I do is I take this like this, take it right down the middle. That way I've got 2 sides already. The other thing to do is I don't cut it off, pull it apart. I keep that end there so that I can use it to tie, holds everything together. So we're going to lay that on the side. Like so. And wrap that up, tie that off. It's one side, flip it around, and we will do the other side. These obstacles out of the way. Get that wrapped in real good, tied up. There we go. Take those, get those out of my way. You don't have to make the head real pretty because it's going to be covered up. So we're done there. Do a whip finish. We're done with our thread. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our head on, but before we do that, we are going to apply some of the thick, slow Zap-A-Gap. It's a thicker formula, it takes a little longer to dry, but it will hold that helmet in there really good. And it's blocked. And you don't have to be shy. Put enough that you think it's going to hold in there good. Then we're going to flip this around and we're going to slide our head on. You're going to want to push it back so that just a little bit past the eye of the hook. Make sure everything's lined up. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to tie a little thread dam in front to kind of keep the head in place. And we're going to secure that here in a minute with some UV resin. And that's about all we need. Make sure everything's lined up. Take our Loon Flow UV resin. Oop, I see something there I don't want. That'll help hold that helmet in place on the hook. Hit it with our light. And I see a little bit got into the eye, that's no problem. There we go. And then we're going to put a little bit over the eyes just to kind of keep, even though we got them super glued in, this just assures they're not so apt to get popped out. Because after all, you are bouncing this across the bottom, so it's going to take a little punishment. Okay, last thing to do, we're going to trim our legs because they're actually, they kind of act, I put them in there as pectoral fins. So the distance back you want to trim these is about to where the rabbit begins on the back and the tail, the separation right here. So you don't want to pull the legs, you just kind of want to lay them. It's easier if I do it this way, like so. There we go. And there it is. The Okanogan Sculpin. This turned out to be a really good, like I said, bass and warm water species streamer. Fish it with a floating line if you're not going too deep, sink tip, any way that works for you wherever you're fishing. Like I said, I've used it in the Okanogan River, Palmer Lake, Patterson Lake, some of the other bass lakes in the area. We've done really good with this. The smallmouth seem to really love it. Of course, it's chartreuse. What's not to love? So, until next time, have a good time out there.